speaking of things going badly, Jaguar's rebrand. What do you reckon?
Now, I'm in a small minority of people who would argue that before you criticize what someone does, you've got to understand what they're trying to do. And they have been completely forthright about the fact they expect to lose all but 15% of their customers.
All but 15% of their customers.
Exactly, of their customers, by moving to a much more upmarket, expensive car on an electric platform. And the argument I might make is that normally what they did is anathema to anybody who loves what you might call brand maintenance and brand management. But by the way, they didn't change their name. Okay, they didn't call the car Zog. They still call it Jaguar. They still, contrary to rumors, have kept the leaping cat motif, etc. But what they've done is a very, very bold kind of, okay, in a sense, it's, look, bet the farm here. Okay, either we do this, we either succeed, in which case, great, or if we fail, to be honest, we were heading for disaster anyway, because you've got to be slightly careful. This is where, okay, when Dylan went electronic, okay, someone shouted Judas. The crowd in the Manchester Free Trade Hall absolutely hated it. Jaguar purists are going to hate anything. By the way, I've had 6 Jags, by the way, so I'm a loyal Jag enthusiast. I love the brand. And in many ways, I love a lot of the heritage about that brand. But equally, I love red telephone boxes, but I don't think it should be the BT logo. Okay, I love, what is it, Giles Gilbert Scott's design for red telephone boxes, but I'm also cognizant of the fact that I don't make many calls from payphones anymore. And I like Burberry Macs, but I'm also cognizant of the fact that because of various things like, central heating and Uber, not many people wear Macintoshes anymore, apart from Americans and flashers, in my experience. I was saying this the other day. Now, there are occasions where you might argue that electrification completely reshapes the competitive landscape for any car brand or any car manufacturer. And that what you have to do is a fairly dramatic pivot. I'm going to join you in this.
Get that in you,
yeah,
Rory.
absolutely.
Not enough stimulants in us today.
Exactly. There are cases, Kid A, for example, where bands produce an album that kind of alienates their existing fan base. Okay, you might argue that for Jaguar, this was a kind of Sergeant Pepper moment.
Yeah.
Okay, where we've got, fundamentally, we've got to do. Am I right that there was a sort of Pet Sound Sergeant Pepper interplay going on, which was
sure.
Who was first?
Were they on some trajectory toward slow motion irrelevance? Was that where they were going?
Well, the problem with Jaguar is lots of people loved the brand, but the people who loved the brand didn't necessarily buy Jaguars from new in particular.
Right.
And the new car buyer is a pretty niche audience to begin with. I thought the ad was deeply weird. It wasn't produced by an ad agency, by the way. It was, as someone said, it was less a branding exercise than a debranding exercise. You might make the contrary position, which is that it got millions and millions of people all over the world talking about Jaguar, which hadn't happened for years. Now, I'm not one of those people, any publicity is good publicity. That emphatically is not true. Okay. However, it did signal the fact, and by the way, it's not as if Jaguar hasn't done this before, okay, that a big change was afoot and that something remarkable was going to emerge. And the new car, by the way, which we've only just seen this morning, just for people listening.
I haven't seen it. What is it?
It's highly polarizing. It's an extraordinarily bold design. I personally like it. It seems to come in 2 colors, Miami pink and London blue.
Okay.
And the idea of a pink Jaguar is transgressive. Heretical, exactly.
Yeah. I don't know whether you saw their Twitter was replying to people that were criticizing the campaign, whoever it is in the marketing department. They were being very non-apologetic about what they were doing. We don't care about what it was before. This is a new era, etc., etc. Really no airs or graces about trying to bring along the heritage or the.
Bear in mind, they have got an advantage now. If you look at it from the mindset of a game theorist, okay, if you're a volume car maker electrification is goddamn terrifying. It's Clay Christensen and the Innovator's dilemma, because you've got this huge sunk cost in both expertise and plant in producing internal combustion engine cars. You have this incredible engineering heritage, which, don't get me wrong, I love that stuff. I love steam trains, okay? I love red telephone boxes. I love driving gloves, E-types, girls from Lucy Clayton being taught how to get in and out of an E-type without showing your pants, okay, which apparently was something that finishing schools taught in the 1960s. All of that heritage is wonderful. But when technology comes in, okay, BlackBerry purists. Okay, this is a kind of rim moment where electrification fundamentally changes what it means to be a great car, because probably reliability, assuming the software doesn't go wonky, is going to be pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I recently had a bit of an issue where somebody said electric cars are expensive, and I kind of went, well, kind of depends, doesn't it? Because an electric Skoda will be more expensive currently than a petrol Skoda. But in performance and quietness and, and what you might call driving dynamics and efficiency, and, the electric Skoda is probably more akin to a petrol Audi than it is to a petrol Skoda.
Mm.
And the guy I met, who's the kind of electric car guru at Wired magazine, was asking this very same question, which is, okay, you've got a bunch of engineers, you've got a bunch of, if you think about it, the people who hated Dylan going electronic were folk people. I rather like folk music, but it doesn't really exist anymore, does it? Okay, you get the odd little...
So he saw the writing on the wall, but got shouted at for having been ahead of the curve.
Dylan had seen the writing on the wall and decided, okay, and someone shouts Judas at him. I don't believe you, play it fucking loud, as he replies. Yeah. Right? Now, you might argue that Jaguar's had a bit of a Dylan moment, which is, look, the things that made us great at Le Mans or in the age of Mike Hawthorne, fundamentally, what the hell is a car in 2030, 2040, when pretty much any car can deliver all the performance and indeed the quietness that a normal driver would hope for? Okay. And the Wired guy asked the question, is it going to be all about interiors? Is it going to be all about design? Is it going to... Because, okay, how do you... A very simple, tough question for Jaguar Land Rover is, we've got Chinese competition. We're never going to kind of undercut them, given labour costs, all the other costs that apply. How on earth do we carve out a niche for ourselves in this new future? Now, for a small car manufacturer and a small volume manufacturer, Jaguar is making about 60,000 a year, okay? They do have one advantage, which is they can completely pivot and start all over again. Whereas a large volume car maker has to manage this incredibly painful transition.
Complex supply chain, etc.
There's a whole German... Mittelstand, which supplies, fan belts and weird bits. All of that goes. Because, this is one thing, by the way, which I think we ought to say about electric cars, which I think is missed by a lot of people, which is that if you look at a petrol engine, which is, it's a cathedral, it's a magnificent achievement, a really advanced, petrol engine. All of those things that move and rattle and bump and filter things and need to be replaced and the gearbox and all that stuff, all of those things exist for only one reason, which is to rotate a shaft, to provide forward movement. Okay. Now, I'm Team Faraday here, because the way an electric motor works is you put electricity in, it rotates, which explains why, with the possible exception of your lawnmower, every single rotating, moving thing in your house uses electricity as the motive power, not petrol. Okay, there is a wonderful advertisement, by the way, which was done, I think it was either Renault. I think it was the first electric Renault, which is equivalent to the Nissan Leaf, where they simply showed someone getting up in the morning and what would have been their electric toothbrush was actually powered by a little gasoline engine.
That's very
they shaved, and there was sort of fumes coming out of their razor.
That's very good.
Okay, and it made that very simple point that nearly everything else in your life has gone electric. it was only a matter of time before battery technology, driven actually probably by the mobile phone industry, made this possible for the car. I mean, by the way, Henry Ford and Edison worked together on an electric car.
Trust really is everything when it comes to supplements. A lot of brands may say they're top quality, but few can actually prove it, which is why I partnered with Momentous. They make the highest quality supplements on the planet. 3 of the products that I use to support my brain, body, and sleep every day are omega-3s, creatine, and magnesium L-threonate. Honestly, I try and limit the number of supplements that I rely on, but when I take these consistently, they have a massive impact on my cognitive performance, my strength, and my sleep. Momentous are literally unparalleled when it comes to rigorous third-party testing. What you read on the label is what's in the product and absolutely nothing else. Best of all, they have a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can buy it and try it for 29 days, and if you do not love it, they will give you your money back. Plus, they ship internationally. Right now, you can get 20% off everything site-wide, plus that 30-day money-back guarantee by going to the link in the description below, or heading to livemomentous.com/modernwisdom and using the code modernwisdom at checkout. That's livemomentous.com/modernwisdom and modernwisdom at checkout. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you enjoyed that clip with Rory, and let's face it, you did, click here to watch the full episode in all its glory. Go on.